World of Tank Blitzers, it's Littlefinger. Happy Friday, June 14th. That means it's Friday and time for another store review. It's also Father's Day weekend. So for all of you fathers out there, happy Father's Day. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Before we jump into the store, I did want to re-mention the fact that my friend Mirage Mike, who has been running this BlitzTankStats.com website for several years, has had to shut it down due to lack of funding. I know that it takes quite a lot of data to manage the database for all of this information on Blitz, but his site was really unique and provided some of the things that I think some of the other websites that we use don't have. I'm going to post a link to a video that I did that kind of explains his website a little bit more for those that are new and might not have seen his website. But if you're coming to my store review, I figure that maybe you're thinking about dropping a few dollars in order to benefit yourself. How about you do something for the betterment of the community and give Mirage Mike a donation so that he can get his server back up and running for another year. As you can see, we are getting very close to his goal. So let's hop into the store. I'm really not going to talk about any of the other offers. I am not up on the Lotto Ball here and how that's going to work. Obviously, there's going to be a live stream. They're going to draw the Lotto Balls and they're going to have different values. So really, it's hard for me to say what this is worth. But just in looking at these where you're getting some gold, it's only 100 gold per dollar. The only reason I would do this, if you're looking for these to screens, they're calling them to fill out the seasonal tank for you. Outside of that, I wouldn't consider them. So I'm just going to scroll all the way down here to the tank section and focus just on the tanks for this week. And one of the bundles here that I do like is what they're calling Dangerous Duo. 12,000 gold. And part of the reason I like this is you've got 35 gold here. If you go play 10 battles at tier 10 and win 50% of them roughly, you're gonna shave off 500 gold of that right there. Plus, you can play tanks if you wanted to, play tier 9 or 10 tanks, and you're gonna get your 5x bonuses here. So try to use those for tanks that you're grinding, tech tree tanks, before you jump into these ones here. So let's talk real quick about the tank. The downside, I think, is the WZ112, just because, as I've said so many times, this is a Chinese variant of the standard heavy tank. Spaced armor on the sides, good angles. It plays very similar to all of the other heavies. So that's the downside here, is you're not getting a very unique tank in the WZ. However, the M4A1 here is a fun little tank. Obviously a variant on the M4. And what I like about it here is you've got your 10 degrees of gun depression. Plus, look at this, for a medium tank, you've got 350 average damage. Good pen numbers. Damage per minute number is almost 2,300, and that's before you start running a rammer or anything. And it's got pretty good speed there at 48 kilometers per hour. Armor, really not much to speak of, but like I said, this is one of those fun little tanks where you can drop a large number. Think like Chimera, similarities to that. And that's why I think this is a nice bundle with two different tanks. You've got the 5X, they got the gold, and it's a reasonable price, even 6,000 gold per tank for tier 8. You can see you can get those for 7,500, and of course, if you're just going to buy one of those, I would suggest the M4A1 because it is more unique than the WZ. The Object 752 is in store for $30. This is a lot of gold equivalent. The benefit to this one is the nearly 5,000 screens you're going to get, which obviously is going to take you a little ways up the line on the seasonal tank line there. But about this tank, it really plays well. It's one of those auto loaders. So you can see here, damage per minute, 2465, which is real nice for a tier 9. You've got 2 shells in the magazine, 4 seconds between those shells. So in 4 seconds, you can drop in 2 shells doing 860 damage, which allows you then to just pull back, wait that 17-second reload time, and then repeat. It also has some nice rounded curves to it, some good armor, and it'll bounce quite a few shots, especially when you are up tiered. The aim time is a little bit long there at 5.5 seconds, but nice 8 degrees of gun depression and 38 kilometers per hour top speed. Now, I think that this is too much to pay for a tier 9 tank. Let's face it, I don't know if I can get my my calculator pull up there, but 30 times 650, that's nearly 19,500 gold. Way too much to be spending alone for a tier 9. And that's with getting a lot of gold exchange rate. So the storming, this is the one that I wanted to talk about. Not so much this bundle here. I'll talk about this one first because you're going to get the 3 Lotto Balls. You're going to get those 35 5x boosters and the screens here. So you're getting a lot of extras that some people might not need or want. So that's why this is so expensive. 42 times 650, 27,000 gold. Way too much to be spending for these tanks, in my opinion. So let's look at this bundle here, because you're getting the tanks, you're getting the camos, you're getting the equipment slots unlocked already. The downside is the 5x is only for these tanks. So let's talk about these tanks. Tier 9, the Object 452K. I pulled this tank out last night and played several games in it. And what I do like about it, it feels like a very nice power to weight ratio. It gets up to its top speed quite quickly, which is 40 kilometers per hour. It does have 7 degrees of gun depression. The only thing that I noticed really downside was trying to hit shots from distance in this tank. The accuracy, not super great. It says .296 with an aim time of 4.4, which really doesn't sound too bad for a heavy tank. But I just noticed that several of my shots went nowhere near where I was aiming, even fully aimed in across the map. But again, heavy tank with some nice sloped armor on it. You really want to be kind of frontline with this tank, and you're doing 460 average damage with a 12-second reload. So very strong, heavy tank. And then one of the tanks that I really have enjoyed playing, nearly 60 battles in it, which is actually quite a lot for me. Almost 80% win rate in it. I feel that this tank can do so much because of its movement and mobility. It allows you to get around the map and just be able to be more impactful during battle. So 2100 damage per minute, not far off some of those tier 9 heavies that we were just looking at, which is nice. 310 average damage, 7 degrees of gun depression, 55 kilometers per hour as the top speed. So I just feel like this tank, it just is an all-around solid tank, and it does fit my play style. Some of you out there might not like the mediums as much. You might prefer TDs or heavy tanks, and that's fine. But I think for 15,000 gold to get both of these tanks is not a bad deal at all. So what else do we have? You can buy the tanks for 75 each. You're obviously not going to get as much. And then they've got the Chieftain here for 8,500. You've got 4 awesome containers, 2,900 screens there. The 5X is just for the Chieftain, so that's disappointing. $18 or 8,500. And of course, if we do 18 times 650 there, that's 11,700. So obviously the better option is to buy the gold at 2 times in the store and then use the 8,500 gold offer for this tank. Now, a little bit about the tank. Not my favorite as far as play style for tier 8 heavy tanks, and that's primarily because of the the British issue with their faster firing, low damage gun. So we see here, you've got a nice 2,400 damage per minute and some nice pen numbers, but only 225 with a 5.5 second reload. So to get those numbers, you have to be on target, which means you have to be exposed, which means potentially getting shot and losing your own hit points in return. So just keep that in mind about this tank. And then finally, we talked about the devastating wave last week. There's only 4 days remaining on it. I don't think this is that bad of a deal. You've got 2 tier 8s for 9,000 gold, which is what, 4,500 each. The Lorraine is a medium tank, 4-shell auto loader, 2.5 seconds between shells. And so, as I mentioned before, sometimes, to be exposed there for 7.5 seconds, getting those 4 shells off can be difficult. So you often have to force that reload and wait that 20-second magazine reload time. So it's kind of one of those tanks you do have to think about a little bit while you play, but it does have nice top speed, 8 degrees of gun depression, 60 kilometers per hour as the top speed there. But as with a lot of the French tanks, they've got these flat sides and rears, which is very easy to pen. So don't look to get too many ricochets off of that. But then we do step over here to the Chinese Type 59, which I've mentioned even in this video. I love playing the medium tanks, but this one is just a little bit too slow for me. And that is because it is more heavily armored, and you can brawl in this tank, and you can get more ricochets in the tank. Damage per minute number is pretty low there, 1,900, 280 average damage, 7 degrees of gun depression, 56 kilometers per hour as your top speed, but it's going to take you forever to get to that top speed. 34 is your average. So just keep that in mind about this tank. But it's not a bad tank. It just doesn't fit my play style. So this is not a bad bundle either if you're thinking about it. And you can see here just how little difference it is between buying one individual tank besides buying that entire bundle there. So guys, that's a quick review of the store, and I would just like to ask those that can afford to give a little donation to Mirage Mike to help him get that website going again. I would greatly appreciate it, and I know our community would as well. So with that, again, have a happy Father's Day, enjoy it with family, and of course, get educated, not fingered. Littlefinger out.